Well, what we've seen is that while it was well-intentioned, the creation of the GAB has been an 8-year failed experiment, and we need to make significant changes. And most importantly, they've failed to operate in an unbiased and nonpartisan manner. Too often, their investigations have been left open, sometimes for years at a time, rather than being closed in a timely fashion.
Well, the Government Accountability Board, as I understand it, under your proposal, would be split into two divisions, one to deal with elections and the other to handle ethics. Why is this better than having one agency manage both?
Well, the idea of having one agency sounded good. No other state had done that, and at one point that was held up as a national model going forward. What we now see is no other state has followed that model, and no other state probably will follow that model. Our Elections Commission will actually have former clerks on the commission helping to oversee what goes on. And more importantly than that, they're going to have written policies and procedures that they report and make open to the public and report to the legislature so that those that are being regulated can know what the rules are. The goal here is that while it sounded good, the idea of having nonpartisan former judges exclusively as the overseers actually failed to prevent partisan activity among the board and the employees of the GAB. By having balanced bipartisan appointment and composition of the board, we're going to be able to prevent that, and there'll be more effective oversight. Instead, we're going to have both parties, the leaders from the Assembly, from the Senate, the governor, from a pool that is provided by each party, so it'll be strictly bipartisan. And in fact, Kevin Kennedy himself said that he felt like you couldn't really expect that those employees to not have any bias. Well, we can expect that. We do expect that. We're going to insist on that. And we're going to have an oversight commission in each case on the election side and on the ethics side that will be much more active and vigorous in preventing that kind of behavior.
Yeah. Is there a specific partisan act that you can point to?
Oh, I'll give you a couple. One would be back at the time of the review of the recall and certifying the recall elections. Another would be at the time of the recreation in violation of law and against what the policy would be, the recreation of the ballot, redesigning the ballot right before the election. But here's the thing is, even the appearance of partisanship ends up being corrosive to the whole thing. We just can't have it. And what the impression is that partisanship has been unrecognized and unchecked under the current system, and our new system will be better. But it's more than just changing the structure at the top. They'll be accountable because we'll have an administrator on each side that is that has appointment and then Senate confirmation. But this bill includes measures to make them more transparent in the way that they operate, to require that there are written policies and procedures to be followed.
Retired Judge Gerald Nickel, who is the GAB board chair, urged Republicans last week to not overhaul the agency because it would have serious consequences on the 2016 statewide elections. The first year a photo ID will be required to vote. Is this too much change too soon or not?
No, it's not. And we have great respect for the retired judges that have served on the GAB. They've had distinguished careers. They're individuals of the highest integrity. And they just weren't very well matched in some cases for the job that they were given. It isn't about those individuals. It's about the systemic failure in the creation of this, what was an experiment that has just failed. It's scrupulously bipartisan. And I challenge anyone to find that this is in any way, shape, or form a power grab. It is not.
Thank you very much for being with us.
Thank you.
Whether or not we support or oppose the measure to overhaul the Government Accountability Board, now it's time for you to sound off. Our first caller is John in Windsor. Hi, John.
Hi. The Government Accountability Board is the model in the country. Every other state looks up to it. So why would we want to make change? The other thing is we would have two partisan appointments When we had that in the past, we would never get anything done. The only reason we discovered the caucus scandal was because of the John Doe investigation, and we're trying to get rid of that. This is like the fox guarding the chicken house, and that's all I got.
Jane emails, the GAB itself is not necessarily partisan. The problem is the staff. This department is based in Madison, and as with a lot of Madison, it is staffed by liberals. The day-to-day operations and decisions are made by these liberals, such as Kevin Kennedy. Perhaps the change to the current GAB would be to move it out of Madison into an area where we would see more political diversity in its staff and decision makers. Our next caller is Cynthia in Menominee. Hi, Cynthia.
Hi. I oppose changing the GAB. It's a step backwards, yet another step backwards. It sounds like poor losers. They're not getting the support they want, so they're going to change it. Next
is Claire in Madison. Hi, Claire.
Hi, Joyce. Thank you. Yes, I oppose it. Let me get this straight. They want to disassemble the GAB as it exists and put in partisan people? That makes no sense. This is for accountability. It's great as it exists.
Richard in Oconomowoc, what do you think?
I think that there's too much divisiveness in our country now. This will create more of it.
All right, thank you, Richard. Rose emails, we have no reason to trust Walker's changing of GAB, and the reason is Walker has been using the list of Democrats who signed the recall to make decisions, do hiring, and punish the signers and the Government Accountability Board members. All right, well, so far we have mostly listeners who oppose this proposed change to the Government Accountability Board, and one who has signaled some support. Kimberly in Waupun is with us. Hello, Kimberly.
I totally oppose of this GAB changing. I do believe they're partisan. How many times in this state has there been a recall? Once? Twice now with him out of 105 years. This is just ridiculous. I'm sorry. All these people are incredible. The man is a liar. He's a cheater. I don't even know how he even got back into office after finding out that 6 of his people were working on our dime.
Mike in Casanova is with us. Hello, Mike.
Yeah, I support the reform. The GAB has wasted millions of our dollars. We just need to spend less money on government. That's all I have to say.
All right. Thank you very much. Mary in Brookfield is with us now. Hi, Mary.
Hi, Jay. Good morning. I'm calling to say I vehemently oppose it. This is not reform. Reform is being used completely wrong here. It's just it's a power play, and I've worked with the GAB on elections and with open records requests, and they're entirely nonpartisan. There couldn't be a more nonpartisan group. And finally, I would just like to say that it's time we stop this regime of Scott Walker and his minions.
Thank you very much, Mary. 30 seconds. Ron in Eau Claire, go ahead.
Hey, I oppose it very much. It's just another way that the Republicans are going ahead with everything they could see to benefit the party, hoping to turn the state red between shorting election hours and everything else. It doesn't matter what we think because of the gerrymandering. They have almost, they pick the voter. We don't pick the politicians. Thank you.
Paul in Janesville, what do you think?
I think I'm opposed to it but I do think that the Republicans should be careful because if they pass this and then they all get booted out of office, then they'll be the first one screaming that it's partisan.
Colleen in Darlington, go ahead.
Yeah, I oppose this bill. I mean, the Republican Party is, they want everybody to be accountable but themselves, like with the voucher schools, closing in the middle of the night and taking our tax dollars, the WEED Act. Everybody has to be accountable for them. It's just shameful.